Hi, late night coders, and welcome back. I have a very interesting topic for you to cover today. So, basically, we are going to try to fetch different pages in our website without having to redirect to another route. And what I mean by that is, let's say, look at here at my portfolio website. When I switch between pages on my website, you would not see this like refresh or reload button here to like change. Basically, all my content will be fetched without having to like going to actually to a different route. We will see the different route, like the link address here, but it's not gonna reload or load the new page. So what I'm trying to say is, like, for example, if I go to my process page here, you see I have a transition and nothing happened here. If you like go to a normal another website, you probably will see that if you go through different pages, then that's gonna like you will see like it turns into like a cross icon, and then like you can stop it, or then you can like refresh. But here we are just like fetching everything without having to like redirect to the appropriate route. So if I go to about, you can see like my route up here updates, but we didn't see any change here. This is a technique that you see a lot of creative developer and like designers want to use for the websites. What I've done in my portfolio is using plain JavaScript, and but there are out there like JavaScript libraries that you can use for this. For example, the one of the most well-known ones is Barba.js. You can see like here on their website, you see the same thing happening. Like if you are going to different routes here, you don't really see the experience that you would normally have when you're looking at different pages in a website. Alrighty, so before we get started, if you're new to this channel, please make sure to hit the subscribe button below and turn the notifications on. That way you will be the first to know when I publish new videos. Okay, so for this topic, I'm gonna have two parts. First part in this video, we're gonna look at how we can actually do this, and then the second part will be how we can make it better by adding some good page transitions to our website. So first thing we need to do is to go to this GitHub repo to get this starter code. I will put a link to here in the description of this video. There you will see two branches, starter and part one. Starter is basically the starter code, obviously, and the part one is the final code for this video, which is part one. And then I will have another part 2, which will be the final code for the next video, which will be part 2 of here. So we start with the starter branch here. You just download the zip file, and once it's downloaded, you can open it basically in VS Code or any IDE that you use. So I'm gonna grab it and open it here. As always, first thing we need to do is to do npm install, and to get all the packages installed here in the package.json file. By the way, if you're wondering again what are these files and folders are and you haven't seen my previous videos, I'll put a link to a video that I explain everything in this basically starter code. So if I open my views pages, compared to the previous starter codes, I've added another page, about page, and then I've also added some more styling here for about page and some base styling. So this might be a little different from the other videos, but it's just some like basic HTML and CSS that I've added to make sure that we have more than one page. So I'm gonna start the dev server, and to do that, again, if we go to our package.json, npm start is how we do it. And I'm gonna go to localhost 3000, and boom, here we are. I have my home page, and everything looks good. I have just this one go to about, and right now if you look up here, it's gonna do the normal like page transition, but what we are gonna do later on, what we are gonna achieve is to like just like have very smooth transition between the pages. Obviously at the end of this video we're just gonna implement the procedure, but in the second video we will take care of that smoothness and like adding cool transitions. Okay, so first thing we need to do is actually we are going to take a look at again at this here website. So what type of links we can have in a website. If I go to about page, I've actually put 4 most popular like type of links. One is like this one here, for example. This is going to redirect me to an external website, in this case to the channel, Late Night Coders channel on YouTube. The second type is obviously a redirect to another page in our website, which is what I have here. And then we can also have links for email and like phone. If you are like in an about page, you want to give people to an option to like actually be able to send you email and also just like call you if they're on their phone. Just pay attention here down at the bottom left corner. If you hover there, obviously like right now I'm on localhost, but like in a production environment you'll see like the full link, the actual link there. Here like email, as you can see, it starts with mail to. This one starts with tell. This one like starts with basically our main domain and then like any route that we want to go to. And this one has like completely totally different like link address. So just keep in mind these are 4 things, and what we are gonna do, we obviously don't want to make any changes to these like outside external routes and also email and call me, but the only thing that we want to do here is to take care of the route transitions inside our website pages. So only this, like go back to home or go to about. Okay, so that's that, and what we want to do is basically prevent the default behavior when we click on a link that is going to redirect us to another route in our website. In order to do that, we're gonna go to our, since we are gonna use plain JavaScript, as I mentioned, we are not gonna use any libraries. So here we are going to basically add some link listeners. I'll explain what this function is gonna do. So add link listeners, and then we can define that function here. And okay, so what we are going to do now is basically grab all our anchor tags. I define like a constant here, and that's gonna go through all the A tags in my document, and we are gonna grab all of them. Now, if we do just that here on console.log, we expect to see all the anchor tags that we have in the document. So if we go to like about page, about view here, I have like the go to home link, call me, email me, and also this like external page. So like 4 anchor tags here, and in the home page I have 1 to go to the about page. So if I go to my localhost here, yeah, it's already refreshed, so you can see like all those in the about page I have all the 4, and if I go to home I have the 1 that will take me to about page. So the next thing is that we are going to basically loop through all these anchor links and identify the ones that are just to redirect us to another page in our website, and then we want to like prevent the default behavior on them. For the other links, we're just gonna let the website do whatever it's supposed to do and like take them to another like tab or something like that. So we can basically use a simple for each here, and I am going to like say for each link I will, and I wanna change the behavior on click, so I'm gonna do link on click, and again we have our event, the click event that we get, and here potentially technically we wanna prevent default and only links that we are is going to redirect us to another page in our website. But for now, if I do event.prevent default here, let's see what happens. I'm just gonna put a console.log so that we make sure we are actually clicking on the link. If I go back here, so see, I'm clicking, but nothing's happening. So that's what I'm talking about, like preventing it from the default behavior that it's supposed to do. Now, as I told you before, if we look at this bottom left corner here, the main difference is that this guy here has our website main link in it. All the other ones, it starts with mail to this one starts with tell, and this one has a total different href. Actually, if you go here, like the href is totally different. And if we go back to my index.js file, now what we need to do, let's console.log a few things. How can we get that href here in our JavaScript file? Well, it's just link.href, just like that. And if I console.log that, you can see here, when I click on everything, you can see like what the href is. And then our goal is to get to see if our href includes this localhost 3000, then we want to prevent default. But if it's doesn't include that, we just let it do what it's supposed to do. But then again, keep in mind that we can't just specifically try to target localhost 3000, because in the production this is going to be like, for example, google.com or like yourwebsite.com or something like that. And to get that, actually, we have a very good property in our window, and that's window.location.origin. And if I console.log that, you will see basically what it is. So if I comment this one out, let's see here. If I click on all these things, you can see that our window.location.origin is always showing my localhost 3000, or in production it will be like yourwebsite.com or like google.com, something like that. So what we want to do is to make sure if this window location.origin is part of the link href. And for that, we can use actually index of, which is a JavaScript property. Here you can see, for example, we have like this array here. If what we are trying to see is in there, if it's in there, we'll get the element look place here. And then if it's not here, we'll get -1. So any number greater than -1, it means that that particular, like in this case, string is part of this array. So to do that, we're gonna say if link.href.index of, we wanna see a window .location.origin is part of the link href. So that's how we do this. We say link.href.index of and then window location.origin. That's what we wanna check. As I mentioned, if it's greater than -1, that means that it includes that our href includes our main domain. Right now it's localhost, but eventually in production it will be like yourwebsite.com. And what we want to do there is to prevent a fault there. So if I move this guy down here and save it, what we're gonna see is that for the other links, it's gonna do as it's supposed to do. If I click here, it's opening the external link here. If I do call me or email me, it's gonna try and call. But if I do go back to home, it is not doing anything. I'm clicking, you can see I am clicking here, but it's not doing anything, and that's exactly what we want. Now, what do we want to do when it's clicked? So let's define another function for that. I'm gonna call it onLocal link click, and obviously we need to pass our like URL, and that would be href, link.href here. Okay. So let me clean this up a little bit, and then we don't need this console.log anymore. And let's define that on local link click function up here. Okay, so oh, by the way, we also have our URL here. Don't forget about that. So we're gonna use like the fetch window fetch function here. It's just kind of like Ajax call. We don't want to redirect. So what we're gonna do is like basically give the feeling to our users that this web page hasn't really changed. It's just like a cool transition effect. So we are going to define our request using window.fetch, and we're fetching our URL. Obviously it needs to be an async await function. We're gonna await that, and then what's the request? We have fetched the URL. If our request dot status is equal to 200, then we're good to go. That means we've fetched our URL properly. Else, let's say we just want to redirect it to the home page, for example, which in our case is just the / route. So we have that right now here. Let's go back to let's console.log this request here and make sure that we understand what's in there. If I click on this, go to home, you can see that I get this response and I have the status 200, so it's okay now. Once we fetch that and it is okay, the idea is basically to replace the content, like all these like text, images everywhere, everything on this page with the content of the home page here. So that's the idea. We'll just like kind of like we'll eventually add some animation to fade out or do anything that we want from the original page to like fading in the destination. So to do this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna define a constant div, and we're basically going to create an element, an element here, and we're gonna call we're not gonna call it, we're gonna create a div element here, and then what we are going to do is inside that request, the response that we get, we have a text which basically has everything in that destination page. So if I were to console.log div.inner HTML here, what we are getting is this one will be everything that we have, all the divs and like the everything that we'll have in the destination page. So if I console.log that, let's see, when I click on go to about, here you can see everything in the about page. Like we have our about header, obviously like we have our meta tags name, everything there, which is coming from our if I go to about page here, since we are extending index, that is all we have here, our meta tag, links, everything. Then we go to about page, we have all these like about header, YouTube channel here, and everything here, and that's all we want to be replace here. So we get that. I'm gonna comment out these guys here, and what we need to do is I'm just gonna real quick basically copy this portion here. What we're gonna do, we have a div content, as you know, in our index.pog. We have this content and everything is basically being replaced there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please go and check out my original video when I describe everything there, explain everything there. We're gonna select that content class. We're gonna get the data template attribute of that. Again, I've explained all these things in my original video. And then we are gonna set that attribute to this template that we have. If you remember, this template is what we are showing here. Like, that's our template, about. So if I, for example, console.log this the template, what you will see here is that if I'm in my home page and go to about, I see that template is about. And if I go back to home, that template is now, well, basically I don't have it yet here, but that's gonna be home. Now, we are doing that. We are assigning this content inner HTML, the HTML of the content to be what we have fetched for the new page. And the last thing we need to do is actually assign that page what we have fetched right now. So the new page is going to be the page that we have with this new template, which eventually means this one here, which will be replaced in our index.pog file here. So our template is gonna be about, and then that means we are in about page. So if I do that, what you will see here, if I go from home to about, just take a look at this here, up here. We want to make sure that that doesn't change. We are just transitioning. It did transition. No reloading or loading like the new page. But if I want to go back to home, now that doesn't work. So the first time it works, then if I want to go back, it doesn't work. And that's basically just because I need to add the link listeners again here to make sure that every time I go to the new page, I initialize this link listener to prevent default behavior, and then like go through all this process again. If I save that now I'm in home page. Just pay attention. It's gonna just go to about, home, about. Nothing is changing. I'm just replacing my text. And then right now we don't have like a cool transition, so you can just probably see a little bit of not a good experience right now, but like I said, in the next video I'll talk more about how we can like animate stuff in and out and like have a page transition so this is done smoothly. Okay, so one other thing to note here is that when we go to another link, for example from this home to about, you can see that this URL here is not updating. So if I go to home page, obviously I want to see my root page, and that's what we see here. But for about page, I expect to see like / about, and that's not what I'm seeing here. To fix that problem, we are going to look at the window history API, and that's basically that provides an interface for manipulating the browser session history. That's exactly what we want, because we want to add this new URL to our browser session history, and this push state is exactly what we need since it's a method that adds an entry to the browser session history. And if we scroll down on this page, I put links to this page, to these pages in the description of this video, so don't worry about that. This code right here, push state, window history push state, it adds our new URL to the history of our website, and that's what we need. So if I copy that and add that here, once we fetch the new URL and it's good, the status is 200, we want to add that to the history stack. And if I save this and go back to localhost here, you'll see that if I go to about, boom, yes, exactly what we want. We want to see about there. Home, we don't see it. About, we see it. Home, we don't see it. And so on. So if we have like a third page, like a contact page, obviously if we have a link there, once we click on that, it's gonna be like /contact. So that's all good, but the last thing we need to look at is this back button here. So we expect, for example, right now if I hit the back button, since we came from the home page, to go back to home page and display the home page stuff here. Let's see if that happens. If I do this, well, the URL updates because we added like all the history we added to the stack there, but here we don't see any change in the main page. If I keep hitting back, the URL is correctly updating, but the content is not. And to do that, we actually need to look at another window property, the pub state. So we're gonna listen to the pub state event in our window. And in order to do that, I'm just gonna add an event listener in my constructor up here. And what that does is basically we are listening to the pub state event. That's like the back button. If we look at this pub state event of the window interface, is fired when the active history entry changes while the user navigates the session history. That's what we do with the back button. We are navigating the history of our session. So, and then I'm gonna define this pub state function, and I need to have access to this keyword there, so I'm binding that also here. If we go down, we can define our pub state here. So I'm gonna say on pub state, what we are gonna do basically is just to make sure that again we are going to do what we did when we were redirecting our page. So we're just gonna call this on local link click. And there is a reason I don't directly call this like local link up here. I just wanted to define this new function. We'll see, like we'll add something to it in a moment, but right now the URL that I want to pop to is the window.location.path name. So let's comment this out for a second here, and let's copy that one here. I am going to actually I have it right here. I am going to console.log this location path name here and see what happens, what that shows to me in each URL that I am. Right now I'm in about, so you can see I have about. If I go to home, I go home, I have that. That home is probably a console.log that I have up here. Let's see, as template. Let's comment that out. I just want to see my path. Okay, so for home is that if I go to about, I have about, then I have like just forward slash. So that's exactly what we want to go to when we do the back. When we click the back button, we're popping the state. We want to go to the path name, window location path name that we have here. Now let me just like bring that listener back, event listener here, and you'll see what I meant. So now we have this pub state. Now if I go to about, everything is fine. We are not like reloading. We do see the change in the link the URL of this page, and everything's working fine. Now I'm in about page. If I go back to home, and then from there I don't go back like to about. If you remember, I kept going from about home. So I expected to, when I do this, then go back to home, about home. But it seems like it's only popping one state. It's not going back in the order that we had. Just like one history stack is being popped, the one history session is being popped, and to fix that is being caused because of this here. So we need to make sure that this thing right here is only called when we are actually directing to the pages, using this link click. When we do the back button, we don't want to push that state, push that session, push that URL to our history. And to do that, we're just gonna define a new key value per here. When we are doing the pop step, when we are hitting the back button, we don't want to push this new URL, and we are going to define that one also here. By default, we'll set it to true, but if it's false, it means that we hit the back button. And if it is true, so if push, then we want to do this right here and there. So that should take care of the problem. Let's see if that actually works. So I'm in about page, I'm going to home, about, everything is perfect up here. We see everything is updating. But now if we do the back button, we go to about, the page also changes. We go home, the content is changing, and we are going backwards in our session history, and that's exactly what we want. So I think that covers everything. Just one other thing I want to mention is that make sure for your external links, for example, in our about page here, or homepage, for the external links, make sure to add the target underscore blank so that it opens in a new tab. Because if you are redirecting to external link, you don't want to just completely forget about your own website. That's why I have it go to another tab, and I still have this tab here. So yeah, that's all about it. I'll put the link to obviously this GitHub repo again in the description. As I mentioned, this final code that we just did is actually what I have here in part 1. That's the final code. And in part 2 of this topic, I will talk about transition stuff. So keep an eye out for that video as well. Alright, if you found this video helpful, make sure to like this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. If you have any questions, please make sure to leave a comment down below, and I will make sure to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you guys, and I'll see you later.